Just when you thought it was safe to go back out on the road, here they come again. More of the world's worst drivers.
Oh my God.
Something I've never seen before and never expected to see.
Bad drivers are everywhere, and they're a threat to all of us.
Oh, what a mess.
Drivers so dumb, so dangerous, that even the cops aren't safe. From the slow lane to the fast lane to the carpool lane.
Over the fence, right into the water.
These drivers break all the rules.
You believe we got this on tape?
Some are mad.
He's mad he left and right.
Some are bad. And some are completely insane. Whether on a drunken spree,
I'm drunker than a skunk,
or just out for a joyride, they all have one thing in common. They're completely out of control.
I will not warn you again, sir. I will take you straight to jail.
Tonight, the world's worst drivers caught on tape. Buckle up. It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
Good evening. I'm Sheriff John Bunnell. You see them wherever you go. Running stoplights, tailgating, cutting in front of you. Who are they? Bad drivers. And they're a nuisance to everyone on the road. Check this out. A car with a stuck gas pedal that's doing more spins than an Olympic ice skater.
It was something I've never seen before and never expected to see.
This dumb driver lost her keys, so she decides to start her car with a screwdriver. But then to make matters worse, the gas pedal jams, and she can't stop the car, so she bails out.
She didn't have a lot to say. She just told me that was her car and had about a half tank of gas in it, and she went back in the house. She wasn't too concerned.
A crowd gathers, but no one can figure out how to get close enough to disable the vehicle. Then, after the car has been spinning out of control for 20 minutes, it parallel parks itself at the curb, allowing officers to rush in and shut it off. You think you've got problems with your engine running hot?
Stand back from the car.
Then meet a guy who must have run out of space in his garage, because look at what he's got stored under his hood. Tools, oily rags, even a propane gas canister. No wonder a fire got started in there.
It's disgraceful how anybody could store rubber materials and flammable materials and LP gas bottles in their engine bay. It's just beyond belief.
Here's a dumb driver who got caught with his pants down. It seems as if his girlfriend couldn't wait to get to the motel down the road, so she took matters into her own hands.
Stepping out here with your driver's license, please.
Watch how he tries to conceal the evidence.
You have a driver's license?
His problem started when he got out, and it's obvious that what he was doing in the vehicle was not driving. His shirt's out of his pants, and his belt's unbuckled, and he's trying to zip himself up. I do believe that the passenger was performing some kind of sexual act on him.
Stay right here.
This cop knows something is up, so he decides to check with the girlfriend.
You bothering him driving? I seen your head jumping around over there.
I could tell that she was extremely nervous and that she was kind of embarrassed over the whole situation.
You ain't paying attention to what you're doing?
Yeah.
Or is she helping you too much, or what?
No.
Knowing the officer could have given him a ticket, this driver is happy to get off with a stiff warning and some friendly advice.
You can't drive. If you need to take a rest, go ahead and take a rest. If you want her to drive, let her drive. But don't end up in no ditch, all right?
And this stuff definitely needs to be in the bedroom. We don't need this on the highway.
Y'all be careful.
All right.
Yeah, careful not to get caught with your pants down.
There are two important rules you must follow to be a good driver.
When you want to go, step on the accelerator. When you want to stop, step on the brake. When you can't decide which is which, then you've got a big problem. It's lunchtime at a suburban sandwich shop. Here comes their first customer now. Somebody should tell this guy that the drive-thru is around back. Parking is always tough at the DMV, so this lady decides to park across the street.
When she left the parking lot for some unknown reason, she was unable to make a turn and came across the street and hit the side of the house here.
Thankfully, no one was injured, but this house is now on the critical list.
My car is it was in the garage, parked inside of the garage.
Where is it now?
In the living room. Oh, what a mess.
This driver had better go back and take that eye test one more time. This man hit the gas instead of the brake and destroyed a restaurant. To make matters worse, it was his restaurant. Even worse, it was the opening day of his restaurant.
I was standing here and I saw them pull up. I saw him go over the curb and I was thinking, oh, he better stop before he hits the window.
This is probably not the grand opening he had in mind. And here's another restaurant that's been air-conditioned for your comfort. Surprisingly, the owner has a good-natured reaction.
Suddenly, a car drove into my store. I didn't think this is a drive-through store.
But this is a drive-up ATM. Drive up, drive through. Evidently, it's easy to get confused. And now here's one more dumb driver who couldn't find the brake pedal. Moments later, he was parked on the bottom of this retirement home swimming pool.
All of a sudden, we hear it crash, and we jump up from our chairs and look to the right, and we see a car come over the fence right into the water and go under.
With a big like a bomb. Such a crash like a bomb.
The driver swam to safety, and the ladies, well, now they have a great story to tell their grandchildren.
We were sitting right
here.
If it would come through here, we would be all dead.
We would have been killed.
So remember, the brake is the big one on the left. Keep that in mind the next time you're looking for a parking place. With all these bad drivers, are we safe on our streets? The truth is not really. We're in a lot more danger than we think. Ask anyone who's ever survived a near miss. Here's a man who was caught on tape as he crossed the street. You won't believe what happens next. Watch again. The truck barrels through the intersection, hitting the black car, which skids out of control into the crosswalk. With no time to think, he leaps out of danger. His lightning-quick reflexes save his life. Here's another pedestrian crossing the street. First, the bad news. A truck speeds through the intersection and sends him flying. But now for the good news. He's hit by an ambulance. Amazingly, the man isn't hurt. He walks away unharmed.
The furthest thing from my mind is that I'm going to get hit by a car.
Coming up next.
Oh my God!
Whether rain, snow, sleet, or hail, nothing can keep these bad drivers off the road.
Oh my God, what's over?
Plus, meet the dumb drivers who park their cars in all the wrong places. And later,
And I was like, man, just put the gun away.
a fender bender explodes into a deadly game of road rage. Plus, a driver gets caught in a high-pressure situation when the world's worst drivers continue.
When the weather turns bad, driving can be a nightmare. A smart driver will slow down and keep a safe distance between himself and the car ahead. And a bad driver, well, he's probably better off taking the bus. Then again, maybe not. The passengers on this Dallas bus are holding on for dear life as the driver desperately tries to pull out of a slide. Watch again. It looks like the end of the line for these riders. I guess the driver should have waited for the salt truck. Oh, here it is now. Same icy street moments later.
Oh my God!
You're hearing the guy who owns this smashing new sports car. Better make that a smashed sports car. Now it's really a compact car.
Oh my God!
Most places you will need chains, even on an icy road. If you don't use the chains, you're gonna slide, you're gonna lose control of your car.
There's nothing worse than finding yourself broken down on a snowy freeway. See that moving van with its blinkers on? That driver can breathe a sigh of relief because a tow truck has come to his rescue. The tow truck driver needs to turn around in order to pull the stalled van off the freeway. But incredibly, he decides to do this by pulling out into 4 lanes of oncoming traffic. Big mistake. Watch again as this brainless tow truck driver tries to make a U-turn. The oncoming cars never have a chance to slow down.
When you hear that the weather is bad on the news, you need to be more patient with your driving. Give yourself extra space, an extra space cushion, more time to stop if you need to.
Want proof? Check out this rain-slicked freeway near London. The red sports car is going way too fast for these hazardous conditions. The driver skids, panics, and pulls around the van, then spins wildly out of control. He moves safely on down the road, but look at the mess he causes behind him. Traffic slows, but the driver of the white truck isn't paying attention. He skids into one car, then hits a truck, then sets off a chain reaction 2 lanes over. The driver in the back swerves to avoid the pileup. Here it is again. It's obvious that these drivers are going too fast. And their recklessness causes thousands of dollars in damage. They were all in a hurry, but now they're going nowhere.
Sometimes people really mess up. They make bad mistakes because they're in a rush, they're in a hurry. Rushing can become a habit.
Even if there's just a little rain on the road, it's tough to stop when you're driving too fast. Here at this icy intersection, one of Chicago's finest has been dispatched to work an accident. The driver of the blue car is so busy rubbernecking, he almost forgets to stop at the red light. But this white Volvo has no trouble stopping thanks to the brown car.
You idiot!
He tries to leave the scene of the accident, which is pretty hard to do on solid ice. So our helpful officer invites him to pull over for a safety chat. But then the driver of the white sedan gets what's coming to him. In this case, a big red truck. The owner of the truck feels bad, but not as bad as this driver when he rear ends a police car. All these stories have the same moral.
Oh my God, drive flipped over.
If you have to drive in winter weather, you better slow down and keep your cool. Good drivers use good judgment. They say things like, traffic is heavy, I think I'll be extra careful. Bad drivers use bad judgment. They do things like parking their 2,000-pound truck on top of a frozen pond. It's amazing how smart people can do such dumb things when it comes to their cars. This man is reviewing the owner's manual for his expensive new car. That's because he's trapped inside, thanks to his expensive new car alarm.
Is there anything in there about the locking mechanism?
After a night of drinking, he wisely decided to sleep it off. Too bad he lost his keys, which he needs to disarm the anti-theft system.
We tried to Slim Jim it. Tough car to get into. Tough car. That thing really did work.
Maybe the manufacturer should have installed sleeping bags instead of airbags. Finally, an officer breaks a window and the man crawls out. And what's the lesson here?
So don't drive and drink. That's about it.
Tuesday is Ladies' Day at the car wash, but I guess this driver couldn't wait. So she drove around a police barricade and into this flooded street.
It doesn't say closed, keep out, or nothing. And I started in, and this is where I'm at.
I guess she thinks it's okay to ignore police roadblocks that aren't properly marked.
And I think the highway department should certainly put closed, stay out, or something on their signs when they put up a barricade.
Yeah, and maybe they ought to send out engraved invitations the next time they shut down a street, too. Everybody knows it's against the law to park next to a fire plug, so this guy decided to park on one instead. It just goes to prove, if you use bad judgment while you're driving, you're going to end up in a high-pressure situation.
Next up, the most amazing crashes ever caught on camera.
I believe we got this on tape.
Plus, when tempers get hot, watch out for road rage. And later, a drunk driver invites the cops out for a few drinks. Don't go away. There are plenty more of the world's worst drivers when we continue.
If you've ever been involved in an accident, you know how scary it can be. One minute you're safe and secure behind the wheel. The next you're holding on for dear life. And it all happens in the blink of an eye. This is a computer store in a quiet Pennsylvania town. It's not quiet anymore. This driver fell asleep on his way to work and woke up here.
It was just a loud crash. It basically shook the building quite violently. Obviously didn't know what was going on.
The store is destroyed and the driver is okay, though a bit shaken up. Guess he wasn't expecting a hard drive this morning. Here's a similar crash, but this one's no accident. These crooks use a stolen Range Rover to smash in the wall of this London warehouse. First, they back their vehicle out. Then the thieves rush in, grabbing everything in sight. The Rover does double duty as a battering ram and a getaway car. Now check out this reckless driver. He's too sleepy to notice the police car in his rearview mirror.
Well, you just saw that maneuver. I'm not quite sure what that was. I see him crossing the center line there, driving right down the middle of the roadway. 46 and a 35.
Keep your eyes on the right side of your screen. The driver pulls to the right and slams head-on into a light pole. Watch again. Just as the officers are about to stop him, he does their job for them.
You all right?
He's all right, and you can bet he's awake now.
Do you believe we got this on tape?
The driver of this yellow pickup truck slipped away from a rural gas station without pain. He didn't realize that a state trooper was watching nearby.
We're at the center there by about 6 inches. I want to stop it here at 60 on.
The flashing lights go on, but this dumb driver thinks he can get away.
Stand by, it's not stopping.
Now remember, this is a dark country road and the trooper is without backup. He certainly didn't expect what happens next.
84, it's turned into a driveway here.
The driver abruptly turns onto a side road. The trooper follows. But then, this dummy thinks he can get away by backing up, but the police car is behind him.
Oh my God!
Once again, the suspect rams his 3/4-ton pickup truck right into the front of the police car.
84, it's ramming their car! It's ramming their car!
The trooper's car is disabled. He's trapped.
84, get us some backup here, signal 5.
The second massive jolt takes out the dash cam. Fortunately, the trooper was finally able to gain control of the situation and take the suspect into custody. Most collisions happen so fast, there's no time to react. Sometimes you just have to be lucky.
My mom thinks there was an angel in our corner.
that was like just taking care of us or something, because everyone we've talked to just said that was it. We should have been dead, both of us.
Ronald and Melissa Miller had just celebrated their first anniversary. While heading home on a rain-soaked freeway, they tried to avoid a stalled car when they suddenly hydroplaned out of control. Watch again.
We came up underneath the bridge, and next thing I know, we're just sliding sideways. Didn't even see the water. And by the time we saw it, we hit it, and the car just started spinning.
Just out of nowhere. It's horrible, because we didn't know what was going on.
And the car just totally did like a 180 and hit the wall.
And Ron said that we needed to get out of that car. I knew that we had to get out immediately before anything worse could happen.
Ron knows that they are in mortal danger, and this local TV news footage proves him right. But before he's able to pull his bride to safety,
Look out!
a 2-ton truck driving too fast for the hazardous conditions plows into the Miller's stalled car. Melissa is helplessly trapped inside. Watch again.
I could see pieces flying everywhere. And Melissa, I could actually see Melissa still in the car, going with the semi, and I just started screaming.
I don't know what told me, get out now, you know? It's just, you do. And I know Ron was standing there against the side of the road, and I had to get out.
Somehow, Melissa escapes the wreckage and huddles with her husband by the center divider. Amazingly, paramedics are nearby tending to another accident. They try desperately to get across the crowded highway to help, but then another speeding driver demolishes the Miller's car.
It kind of happened so fast, the adrenaline just kicked in. Everything just felt like it happened in seconds.
Look again as the sedan smashes into their car. Melissa barely escapes in time.
I just turned around and started screaming out my wife's name.
I just heard this horrible crashing noise. And you could hear it scrape down the median wall. A wretched noise. It could have been fatal.
Their car is destroyed, but incredibly, Ron and Melissa are able to walk away.
After we finally did manage to get back over the wall and start to cross the road, you know, we were holding hands, just feeling exactly how lucky we were to still be together and have each other after a horrible ordeal like this. I don't think people realize really how dangerous a car can be. It's very possible to get killed on the roadways, to kill other people, and it's taken for granted that everything's going to be fine, everything will be safe, and you never know what's going to happen.
When we're on the road, we need a certain amount of personal space to feel safe. But when a reckless driver gets too close, tempers flare. Be careful. You'd be surprised how quickly a tiny altercation can escalate into a deadly game of road rage. This conflict on a Miami Beach street corner begins with a minor fender bender.
Got it on camera. Unbelievable.
But then, these tough guys decide to settle things their own way. The fight doesn't end until one of the men is body slammed to the street, knocking him out cold. The other driver leaves the scene with the smug satisfaction that he's won this round. But why did it happen in the first place?
The factor above all else that will promote road rage is endangerment. You know, somebody cutting you off, tailgating you, or fender bender. That will promote road rage above everything else.
As our highways get more and more congested, road rage gets worse. According to the AAA, explosive encounters such as these have increased 50% in the United States since 1990. And the problem's not just here at home. Santiago, Chile. After a traffic dispute, these hotheads throw some punches. Now one of the driver's girlfriends moves in. It looks like it's over, but then words are exchanged, and the fight really gets ugly. This public brawl in New Zealand started over a parking space. And these South American drivers got into it when gridlock ground traffic to a halt.
The main problem is a lot of people get angry behind the wheel. It doesn't even occur to them to calm themselves down. They just want to vent it and express it against anybody they can.
I didn't help you, Captain! I didn't help you!
Most road ragers do not have a generalized anger problem. So if somebody's stopped by a police officer and he starts attacking his own car, and it's not just a manifestation of road rage, this person probably gets very angry at relatives, friends, because he has a problem and needs help.
So how do you keep your cool when tempers get hot?
To avoid becoming a victim in a road rage situation, if somebody gets angry at you and they're beeping the horn because they're angry or they're making obscene gestures, you want to go on as if nothing happened. You especially want to avoid eye contact. You just want to continue.
Hot-tempered drivers, you better wise up, because now more than ever, the cops are turning up the heat. But sometimes road rage gets even more violent. This man is running from police after he pulled a gun on another motorist.
And he got like 10 feet with me with the gun, and then I was like, man, just put the gun away, put the gun away. And he's like, I'll kill you right now, I'll take your life.
And now he's making things even worse. He's calling 911 from his cell phone, threatening that if the pursuit doesn't end, he'll pull into a filling station, ram a gas pump, and cause a massive explosion.
Westbound 5th, approaching Euclid.
The California Highway Patrol tracks him from the air, and local police assist them on the ground.
Okay, looks like they're at 6th Street, continuing southbound Sultana from 6th.
He barrels past vehicles at 100 miles per hour, then cuts across highway lanes with no regard for human life. The police close in. A patrol unit rams him, but he gets away. Another unit fails to stop him. But moments later, officers trap the suspect on a center divider of a residential street. He flees, and another motorist is first to give chase. The suspect runs into a backyard where he's finally captured.
Stopped right there. My buddy here's pulling in front of him. He ran by and we chased him. I tackled him in the backyard.
This desperate driver's been caught, but he's already planning his lame defense.
Please try to kill me, all right?
You see what they did? I was driving calmly. They ran me left and right.
Hey, tell it to the judge. You're now facing charges of brandishing a firearm, assault with a deadly weapon, and evading arrest. Forget about being behind the wheel. You're gonna be behind bars.
Still to come.
Let's get on with the BS here.
The crazy excuses drunk drivers use to avoid a trip to jail.
Which one's your glass side?
Plus, a driver's so courteous she signals before tearing up the front lawn. And later, a garbage truck that makes house calls.
I really have no time, man.
When the world's worst drivers continues.
When a drunk driver gets behind the wheel, he's a danger to himself and everyone else on the road. But since a DUI is a serious charge that can result in losing your license and spending time in jail, it's amazing what some people will say to avoid arrest.
Man, I didn't do nothing wrong.
You got your truck stuck out here in the field. You're out here driving the truck and you're drunk.
A Florida sheriff's deputy found this driver stuck in the mud near a county road.
All right, I'm gonna ask you to take a couple tests for me. Stand back
Sure,
here.
I can't.
You can't? Why not?
Well, one reason, I'm drunk, man.
You're drunk?
Well, he's got that much right, but now he cooks up a plan. He thinks if he's funny, he might be able to laugh himself out of trouble.
What's your level of education?
I got 20 years of education. I graduated 10th grade twice.
Okay. You graduated 10th grade twice.
Yeah.
And so you got 20 years of education.
Yeah.
This joker thinks he's a stand-up comedian, but his next booking is going to be a held-over engagement at the county jail.
I'm drunker than a skunk.
People know when they're going to get arrested, and they will try to say anything, offer you anything, do anything to get out of being arrested for DUI.
You understand what we want to do? So start with your right foot.
I know what you want me to do.
Okay.
This man is being given the standard eye test.
Okay, now I'm going to move this light back and forth. Okay, I want you to follow my finger. Okay, can you do that?
His whole head keeps moving.
and he keeps moving back and forth. You try to tell him, look, keep your head still, keep your head still. All I am keeping my head still.
Hey, Augustus, you need to listen to me now, okay? No, follow the finger.
This driver knows he's in trouble, so he comes up with what he thinks is a foolproof excuse.
I got a glass eye. Which one's your glass eye? You can't have two glass eyes, Augustus. Don't give me that. Don't give me that.
But this cop sees right through his lame excuse. So it's off to the drunk tank for him. And finally, here's the dumbest approach ever used to avoid a drunk driving arrest.
It's a 35-mile-an-hour speed zone. He was driving 65 miles an hour, and he was driving from side to side, and he was running cars off the street.
I smell a little alcohol on your breath, sir.
This 85-year-old driver has clearly been drinking.
When he got out of the vehicle, his pants were unzipped, his shirt tail was out. He had a little white hard hat on his head. He said that was to protect his computer, his brain.
Now look how he tries to get on the officer's good side.
You want to drink a beer? Come to my house. I got plenty of beer. Okay.
He told us he had been drinking all day and said he had plenty of beer at his house, and if we wanted to come drink some beer, to come on over. And he reached out and patted me and said, "You too, lady."
Okay, you too, baby. You too. I got a lot of beer.
Any question about this man's sobriety was answered during the routine vehicle check.
I don't know if he was collecting aluminum or what he was doing, but the backseat of his car was full of beer cans, empty beer cans. I threw my hands up to my head like, oh my God, you know.
Better can the social invitations, pal. You're going off to the slammer.
Next, angry drivers caught on tape.
I will not warn you again, sir. I will take you straight to jail.
Plus, who's driving this car? Apparently no one. And you wouldn't think this lady could survive this. But she got up, and she was just fine. The World's Worst Drivers continues.
When the average motorist gets a traffic ticket, he learns his lesson and hopefully becomes a better driver. But that's not how some people react. Some people go berserk.
You probably missed it, but there's 4 signs back there that say no left turn Monday through Friday.
Absolutely, I did not know that.
This woman has been stopped for making an illegal left turn.
Oh, don't give me a ticket, honest to God.
But when the officer asks for her license,
Let me see your driver's license, then maybe we can talk about something.
she becomes agitated.
I don't know where my driver's license is.
Relax for a second, just take your time, and you'll be able to find it.
I'm
sure
so mad I can scream right now, okay? Continue to wait for me. My driver's license is here. God only knows where it is. Do you mind if I take my car apart? Do you mind?
It's your car. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I know. I know it's here, but I don't know where it is. You understand how furious I am? I need that.
Okay, well, it's okay. It's in there somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, you don't believe me. You do believe me that I do have my driver's license.
It's in there somewhere. I believe you. Well, just take your time. You'll find it.
The more the officer tries to calm her down, the more hysterical the woman
I
gets.
can't believe I don't have my driver's license. Oh, damn it.
But this woman's getting a ticket anyway because, license or not, she broke the law.
Ma'am, calm down.
You know how furious I am.
This next driver in Ottawa, Ohio knows exactly where his license is. Officer John Mullins stops the man for speeding.
As soon as we pulled over, he threw his driver's license up on top, and in itself is really unusual.
You want to roll down your window, sir?
As the officer returns to his cruiser, the suspect becomes irate. He rips off his rear view mirror and then continues to destroy the interior of his car.
I could see him, hitting the dash and reaching over and hitting the passenger side door. And a few seconds later, he threw his wallet out the window. And there's probably like $150 worth of cash lying down the highway. Vehicles running over.
Tell you what, sir. If you don't get out and pick all this stuff up, I'm gonna give you a citation.
This driver is clearly at the breaking point.
You got a problem, sir?
But notice how the officer keeps his cool.
Tell you what, sir. This is your first warning right now. Okay? You got some over here, too.
The suspect makes an obscene gesture, but the officer maintains control.
I warned you once of your conduct right now. Okay? I will not warn you again, sir. I will take you straight to jail.
After I gave him the citation, I was walking back to my car and I heard him say something. And then as he was driving off, he gave me another Heil Hitler salute. He wouldn't have acted the way he did, he might have got a warning, and it wouldn't have cost him anything.
But because of his big mouth, it's gonna cost him plenty. Now that so many helicopters are equipped with cameras, the high-speed chase has become a familiar part of the nightly news. But no matter what these reckless drivers are running away from, they have two things in common. They put innocent people in danger, and they always get caught. This woman must be the most courteous suspect ever arrested for felony evading. Although she's running from the law, look how politely she signals each time she makes a turn.
We're turning west on Hemlock.
Evidently, she feels that there's no room for rudeness, even during a high-speed chase.
I'm westbound, turning north on Park Avenue.
Look, she signals again, then drives right up this lawn. The police have no problem following her, thanks to her thoughtful signals. Needless to say, she gets caught. Now here's a driver who's not so polite. This female suspect is driving at speeds of over 40 miles per hour. Backwards. Helicopter police track her with the help of an infrared camera.
It's always said, well, if you don't pursue, they won't run. It didn't matter with her. She was going to run.
Officers prepare themselves for the worst as she approaches a major intersection.
We're anticipating a wreck. If she makes it across, it was a blessing. Fortunately for us, all of us made it through, very narrowly on her part.
An unidentified male companion is spotted in the suspect's car.
443, watch the passenger, he wants to bail.
Her male passenger was pleading with her, putting his hands together, praying, please, please stop this car, let me out.
Officers ram the vehicle, and the passenger escapes. At the next turn, the suspect's car is pinned against the curb.
We had thought the pursuit had ended. We were trying to open the door, we were trying to get her out, we were beating on the glass with flashlights, with weapons, and at that point we realized she's going to run again. As she drove away, she almost ran down my partner.
At least she's wised up. She's moving forward this time. Watch as she commits even more violations. She drives through her own yard, plows through a chain-link fence, and is back on the road.
If you can push that vehicle safely off towards the side of the road, if you can get it done, we can get them stopped.
I had decided if I had to wreck my car, then it needed to be done now.
The officer rams the suspect one last time. Her vehicle is disabled. This chase is finally over.
This pursuit was one of the wildest, craziest, dangerous pursuits that I have ever been in.
Coming up, this could have been a disaster. But she walked away without a scratch. Then, meet the driver with 4 on the floor. 4 paws, that is. When the world's worst drivers continues.
So you think you've seen every example of bad driving? Well, think again. You ain't seen nothing yet. Chelyabinsk, Russia. This woman survived a close call. And still had time to make it to the market. Bet she'll think twice about jaywalking again. Now, another lucky pedestrian who cheated death. Amazingly, this woman also gets up and walks away. What's worse than a dumb driver? No driver. Watch this home video from 2 college kids on spring break. They're convinced that the car ahead of them is haunted.
Now this is a headrest driving a car.
No, it's not a headrest. Better take a closer look.
Get closer. I'm trying, dude.
Sorry, boys, you won't be selling those pictures to the National Enquirer after all.
Oh, I saw glasses. There's actually a person.
It's not a ghost behind the wheel, just a very little old lady. Now let's see some bad driving from an officer's point of view. This police car is responding to a call with its lights on and siren blaring. But these dumb drivers aren't pulling over. This one forces the officer to swerve to avoid a collision. And now he's traveling the wrong way on a busy highway.
Will not accept that it's a highly dangerous road.
Now it's off to Britain, where it's a red-letter day for this highway engineer. His safe new freeway has just opened to the public, and here he is bragging about how their high accident rate is a thing of the past.
In general, the accident rate on the A19 is below the national average.
Well, the boys from the highway department sure seem impressed with that. But look what happens next.
As soon as that work is finished, the Central Reserve safety...
Wouldn't you know it? And right in front of the TV cameras, too. What are the chances of that happening again? Pretty good, actually. And now a dumb driver who was pulled over for a traffic violation.
Sir, put your hands behind your back.
But before you know it, he's leading the cops on a high-speed chase, on foot. Finally, he jumps in his car and speeds off.
805, gentlemen, we need some help out here.
It's not exactly a clean getaway, though, considering there's a cop with a gun in the front seat next to him. Now, here's something special for those of you who are tired of taking out the garbage. Meet a sanitation crew that makes house calls. And what do garbage truck drivers have to say for themselves?
I really have no comment.
And finally, meet a driver who stole a black sedan. Then realized that there was an angry pit bull in the back seat. Hey, wait a minute. Who's driving this car anyway? Another bad driver. So remember, the best way to protect yourself against bad drivers is to slow down, keep your eyes on the road, and always wear your seatbelt. I'm Sheriff John Bunnell. Stay safe.